everybody. How's it going? Hello. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for watching. Hello, Trevor. Hello, Lynda. How's everybody?
Doing good. How are you, Kathy?
I'm bouncy. I'm good. I'm good.
I'm still trying to get over our pre-show conversations. Well, yeah. We're gonna leave it there, but wow.
Where our goal?
I'm not gonna get Linda's voice out of my head now. It's gonna be stuck there for a while.
Lynda and my goal is to get you into therapy in some way, or whether we have to push your
You did, yeah. That was awesome.
Oh,
that made my day.
So, how you doing, Lynda?
I'm doing fine, actually. Just very crazy because my daughter got her cast off. So now she's in one of those big boots, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is she clumsy and tripping on everything?
Yeah, but I have to say they look like those demonias, those the boots look like those, those what do they call those goth boots, right? The demonias that we wear. I think I'm just gonna paint it black and put spikes all over it because it looks exactly like her demonias. But yeah, she's walking around the house. She's getting better. She fractured her ankle in 2 places, but she had the cast on only for 2 weeks, and now she has to wear the boot for, I think he said 6 weeks. So yeah, welcome to my life.
Yeah, that sucks. I was thinking about that the other day, because we only have, like, in my house, it's a condo, it's a townhouse condo, but this was built when there was still, like, Tyrannosaurus Rex was walking around and stuff. So we only have, like, 1 bathroom, which works great for my son and I, but it's upstairs. And I thought, what would happen if I broke my foot? Like, what? Like, how do you do that? Like, I guess 1 leg would be really, really strong by the end of it.
Yeah, well, her butt's really strong because we live in a townhouse as well, and we've got 3 stories, so she's been using her bum to go and wiggle all the way down the stairs. We have a bathroom upstairs where the bedrooms are, and we have a bathroom on the main level. When you come in, we have like a breezeway with a bathroom and a long hallway, so poor kid's got to go up and down the stairs to go to the bathroom.
Oh my! And she's in the basement, is that right?
No, she's her bedroom is on the top floor, but she's spending the days in the living room, which means she still has to go down a flight of stairs to get
right. Oh, poor kid. Yeah. Well, it gives you strength, right?
Yeah, right. What is it? That which does not kill you only makes you stronger.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm excited about this week's topic. We're going to be talking about paranormal conspiracy theories. This is actually kind of exciting. So,
hold on. I got to change my hat for this then.
I did not expect.
I love it. Well done.
That's awesome.
I'm ready. We can start now.
We can start now.
Yeah, we can.
Oh my God, I absolutely love that. That's
my God, you're my new spirit animal. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Right? That is just too brilliant. So I was thinking about this throughout the week because I don't even remember exactly why, but I remember for whatever reason, I didn't put it into this round of conspiracy theory kind of things, but I did send a video to our group chat where they were talking about basically, this guy who saw these giants going through the mountains, and now he's dead, but there was another one that saw it and he's dead on top of it. I believe his name is Andrew Dawson. I could be wrong, but I think that's the name. And that's something that people can Google, but it's a long story. And I think that I thought it was really interesting because it reminded me of like Area 51 and the aliens, and, there's so many, and one of the conspiracy theories even was like the Mandela effect, right? Like,
Yeah.
So, this is the one that you had sent me, Trevor, and I found this to be really interesting, because I hadn't seen. Did it show up? Yeah, there it is. Can we see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
this-
so these monoliths
Yeah.
have been appearing since like 2020 or something, and they just kind of pop up in random locations all over the world. In fact, to the point where they've been starting to map them. And I mean, there's, I don't know, probably 50 or 60 of these things that have popped up, like, anywhere from, I think the latest one was found in Colorado. They've been seen in Romania. They are, literally just kind of popping up all over the world. There's no indication as to how they're getting put up out there, who's putting them up out there, or even why.
So has anyone opened one up or tried to lift it out of the ground or tried to explore it in any way?
Apparently they're all, as I understand it, they're just solid. They're just solid pieces of
Metal
or whatever they're made out of. I don't think it's stone, but I don't know that anybody's taken one home. I don't know. There's a lot. Like I said, they're there and then they're gone. So
it looks like metal simply because of the fact that you can actually see the reflections in them.
Yeah, I'd really like to see one. I'd like to see if I could find like some weld marks or something on it. See if they're actually, they're. I mean, they got it. You would assume that they're man-made, some sort of steel of some sort, but I've never seen one. I just know that's kind of one of the latest weird things that are popping up around the world. And
so what are people saying about it? Do they have any theory behind it, or has there been any talk about it? Or
yeah, I think some people think, obviously it's like aliens, alien markers of some sort, mile markers. I don't know, this distance to the next In-N-Out burger. I have no idea. I kind of think it's kind of an elaborate hoax of some sort. People just get people talking. But it is interesting that, nobody has ever seen anybody put these things out there. And these are like locations that typically people are going to go, right? These are places that are not so far off the beaten path that nobody would ever find them or just accidentally happen upon one. These are places like off of trails and things like that, as I understand it, that they've been showing up. So, but as many of these that have popped up and as a wide location has popped up, nobody has seen anybody backpacking one of these things up into the hills.
Well, that's the thing, right? It would have to be either a super huge truck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It would have to.
Yeah. And then you're also taking the risk of somebody, taking a walk at the same time. Of you putting that up, unless it's like just sitting there on top of the dirt. But you would think that it would have to be like pounded into the ground somehow, or so that it doesn't fall over or kill somebody or do what do whatever it does. Right?
That's the other part too, and is some of these are really big. They're like pretty tall, and so you would think they would have to be assembled out there or something like that, where you're taking these in pieces, and then that adds even more to the complexity of being able to set something up without somebody catching you. And I thought that was pretty interesting, pretty weird. I don't know. Some people just have way too much time on their hands.
This is very true. Yeah. Okay, hang on a second. I'm just putting a banner up for us. There we go.
Right.
I think so. I just want to add to this before we go too far into this. After this, I believe that we are going to be probably not streaming onto the I Want to Believe channel for too much longer, maybe another week or so. So if you're not subscribed to the Paranormally Speaking show, make sure you do so. Share our channel so that we get more viewers and more subscribers, because that would be fantastic. We truly appreciate it. And we are also on Twitch. And if you are on Facebook, make sure you're following us on the Paranormally Speaking show there as well. So one of the ones that I was looking at was the Bermuda Triangle. And I was always fascinated by one of the things is I have a fear of planes. I'm not the best flyer. I will go in a plane. I'm not like one of those people that have to drive everywhere or anything like that, right? I will go in a plane because I want to go places.
Yes.
And I want to visit other countries. And I'm even worse with boats than I am with planes because I don't like water. So I don't like what's in the water. I'm okay with water. I just don't like what's in the water. But anyway, I have way too many phobias. Probably I need therapy. Who knows? But the Bermuda Triangle has always been one of those ones that has really fascinated me simply because of the fact that there have been those unexplained disappearances. And I don't know if people would consider it truly paranormal, but I do feel that it is to some degree. There's been many, many different theories. One is like a magnet, or a magnetic pull from the bottom of the sea. Another one is aliens come through and just snatch people up and take them to wherever they take people to their planet as slaves, I guess. But yeah, what do you guys think? Like, do you guys have any theories? Apparently there has been some debunking of the Bermuda Triangle. And it's interesting because if you think about it, we actually haven't had really a Bermuda Triangle incident in a long, long time. Like it's sort of like it stopped, like it just disappeared. So it was almost seems like one of those things where, hey, they found us out. Stop it now. Move on to the next one. All right. That's what it kind of feels like. Like, one of those like, okay, release the hyenas or whatever, that
all government experiments have to have an ending at some point, right? So maybe that's just what happened. They just stopped their experiments out there. Who knows? That's why I'm, there were a ton of theories as to why boats were sinking out there. I think that there were logical explanations for pretty much all of those. Mm-hmm. We talk about even this day and age where even with our cell phones, we run into weird spots where we can't get service. We can't, make a call out, can't, or any of that, and, with, geomagnetism and things like that, sound or radio waves and frequencies can get distorted. And so you can lose sight of, radar sight. You can lose all your instrumentation. There's tons of reasons why that would happen. One of the more interesting experiments I saw done as to why boats were going missing and so many were sinking out there was, I can't remember, and I'm probably going to butcher, but it was called like the champagne effect. And basically, how you get bubbles in your champagne, right? Well, there's gas bubbles that come up off the ocean floor in such quantity that actually creates an area where a ship can't float anymore. There's too much air or too much gas, and it actually sinks the ship without warning, and there's like it was just gone. I thought the guy that showed that I thought that was pretty interesting. So, and then, you get those freak storms out there too, but yeah, you're right. That is something that just kind of fizzled off, it was talked about like heavily for a long time. And then just all of a sudden it's like, okay, everything's done out there. Everything's fine. So
yeah, it's like it just disappeared. But there might be some validity to what you're saying in regards to bubbles, because they are it is one of the deepest parts of the ocean too. Yep. And which could contribute. The only thing it wouldn't contribute to the planes, maybe, unless that somehow creates a tunnel of some sort. Or
it might have just been, like I said, there's a lot of that geomagnetism going, where they can mess up those instruments. And if you're flying blind, if you're flying solely by instrument and you get something that's messing with your compass and your altimeter and all that, you might be thinking you're flying straight horizontal to the ground, and no, you're flying vertically and don't even know it. So but there was for a long time, it is still a mystery, because there hasn't been a lot of explanations to any of them, really. So just again, it's more like, well, this is probably what happened. So
yeah, they've never actually. It would be interesting though. I don't know why, like with all the technology that we do have nowadays, why not just send a robot down there, or send a drone, or send something that would actually give you something, you know. It would be interesting to know if around that area, if there was, ships on the bottom, or ships around it, or planes, or whatever it is.
And I think that they do know.
I mean, if we can break the surface and get a Meg, no, I'm just teasing.
So, but like you said, I mean, it's no different than like going and trying to raise the Titanic, right? I mean, it's in extreme deep water. It's just not, and then the odds of them being able to still come up with, okay, well, this is what happened, is probably pretty slim still as well. So there's, the ocean is it's funny. We know more about outer space than we know about what's at the bottom of our own oceans, because they are so difficult to study, because we don't have, that's one thing we really don't have. We don't really have good enough technology to really get us down to the deepest parts of the ocean to take a look. And
it's interesting. I am not one of those people that have any desire whatsoever to know what's down there. I could care less. Not because I could care less. It scares the crap out of me, and I just want nothing to. I'm good on planet Earth, and just walking in the grass or whatever. I'm perfectly fine with that. I am not the water, like even any open water, like even lakes and stuff like that. I don't do well with it. I don't do well with it at all. In a boat, I'm fine. Kind of. As long as there's not a lot of movement. But when we went to Washington, Trevor, we had to take Pete and I, and we had to take a ferry across, right, to get to the site. It was not good. It was not a pretty sight. That was me pretty much fetal positioning in like the corner of something. And I remember Pete would be like, "Hey, come and take a look." I'm like, it's like, no, that is so not happening. I think I peeked over the side of the boat once and just about passed out. So that would not have been good. But no, I'm not good with water. So
me neither. And my father was in the Navy. Go figure.
Yeah. I am not one of those people you're ever going to find me in scuba gear. That's never going to happen.
No, but you know what? I'm sure that Josh Gates did an Expedition Unknown episode about the Bermuda Triangle. Okay. I vaguely remember watching it. This is years ago. And I think he also, they also did a lot of experimentation. And Trevor, I think you're right. I think it's sort of the atmospheric conditions and the magnetic, I can't remember. But anyway, the conditions have to be such that things can go haywire. And when they do. And the instrumentation is just wacky. And, they can't fly properly. They can't fly straight. And boats, they don't know where they're going. So, I think that had something to do with it. But I'm going to look that up again, because I'm sure it was an Expedition Unknown.
There's, and there's I have a buddy that's actually going through flight school right now, and he wants to become a commercial airline pilot. One of the things he has to do is he has to be instrument rated. And, for his test, for his training, they actually take him in and they put him in fog goggles. So the only thing that he can see are the instruments. He can't see anything that's going on outside of the plane. So he has to take off and land his plane on the runway using only his gauges, only his instruments. That's all he has. That's all he can use. And so because there are conditions that people get up into, and that's just how it is, you can't see anything. And for me, it's like, when I go into a burning building and there's a fire, it's not like it is on TV where you can see all the flames and everything. It is pitch black. It is usually black smoke to the floor. You can't see anything. You can put your hand up right onto your mask. You can't see your hand. And so everything you do is by feel, by sound. So anyway, in an airplane, it'd be so easy just to get disoriented, and if you, like I said, any of those gauges get knocked off for whatever reason, that's all you have. You're just you're just at that mercy.
I want to go on to this one here. This is one that you put in, Lynda. So this talks about a death knock, and this is kind of interesting. This is so we're gearing away a little bit from the alien and and stuff, but I find this actually really interesting. And so basically, it says it is an old superstition that if you hear 3 knocks, someone you know will die. You may think it's silly, but some believe it to be true. This can be because you know of a recent death and heard of the 3 knocks prior, and then connecting the 2 events make it believable. Whether you believe it or not is down to the individual. Life events tend to have an influence in the belief of the old superstition, although there is usually some truth somewhere. That's sort of interesting. It's sort of like kind of reminds me of like when ravens land in your yard or whatever. It's along that superstitious kind of thing. So how do you feel about it?
It got me thinking about how many times do I knock when I knock on somebody's door now? I was like, who'd I just kill?
Well, and even when we're doing investigations, what do we do?
Yeah, knock 3 times. Yeah.
Right?
We knock usually 3 times, without even thinking about it. So yeah, that's the first I've ever heard of. Lynda, do you know where that comes from?
I really don't. But there are a lot of weird superstitions. Like I know with my family, we're all Slavic, and there are some very strange superstitions when it comes to, my heritage. And I think knocking is like a death knock. I think that's part of it. But also it kind of reminds me of, the banshee, right? When you hear the banshee scream, that's a portent of death. And again, I don't know. I think that different cultures have different superstitions, and whether or not you believe in them is based on where you come from and what your heritage is. But I do remember someone in my family telling me something about hearing knocking in your home when there's nobody there, and that it could signal a death. And I think it was the number 3 because of that, that whole thing about the Trinity, the knocking, that indicates the Trinity and evil, and, how it's interconnected with things of the underworld and all of that stuff. So, whenever you hear about the number 3 as well, that's a huge one too. And we hear it all the time in the paranormal field because, again, 3 indicates, the devil or all of that crap. I mean, not that I believe that, but
3:33 in the morning, the witching hour,
right.
Things like that.
Right. 3 a.m. Yeah. What is it? Somebody said at 3 o'clock, Satan walks. Mm. So that's another superstition. So I don't know. I always
tell my kids that they have to be home before midnight because nothing good happens after midnight. So maybe that's
That's right. That's when the black-eyed children are around, right?
That's when the black-eyed children come out.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, and that was actually another one that I was going to bring up was the black-eyed children. Yeah, and I thought that was really interesting. Just in, it's such an interesting, here's the thing, especially with women, right? We are so gullible when it comes to kids, and we're the first to be like, oh, okay, come on in, honey, let me help you out. And what do you need? And, let me coddle you and whatever it is. And, how easy would it be for something to come through as that sort of pretense, right? Like being in that energy. Yeah. Open the door. There's this black-eyed kid sitting there and you're just like, great. What do I do now? There's a right here. So this is basically, the theory is that for those that don't know or never heard of it, is the black-eyed children, they appear at your door, and it's usually, they'll knock on the door, usually 3 knocks. Funny enough.
There's going to be 3 knocks in there.
Yeah. And they will basically, apparently they're very monotone. They're very, they look unusual, but at the same time, they're children. And so people invite them into their house, and one theory is that people are just basically killed instantly, but the other theory is that people get really, really sick afterwards.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's usually like a down like that, you know, so there'll be, you know, cancer or some sort of, you know, horrible, horrific disease or whatever, whatever it is. So I found that to be really interesting. And it does kind of go with that, the 3 knocks, right? Because it's another one of those superstitions, those conspiracy theories that people have. And you kind of wonder, how do these things start? Like, where do they come from? How do they begin? You know, but the other one, and we've all heard of this one, is the Mandela theory.
Oh,
yeah, we did a whole show about this, and
We
that's
did.
still one that drives me absolutely bonkers. So the whole idea behind the Mandela effect is that a large group of population remembers something like, well, in that example, like the Monopoly guy, did he have a monocle or did he not have a monocle?
right.
I remember him always having a monocle.
Me too. Yeah.
And I mean, for as long as I can remember, but he doesn't. At least currently, he doesn't have a monocle anymore. He got LASIK surgery. I don't know, but the monocle is clearly gone. The people that make Monopoly will tell you up and down he never had a monocle, but there are so many people that believe it. So that is, in fact, Mandela effect. So it got its name from Nelson Mandela. A lot of people remember that Nelson Mandela was a political prisoner, and I remember learning about Nelson Mandela, Nelson Mandela in grade school, and that in talking about, we remember when he died, and we were watching his funeral, but he actually apparently didn't die in prison. He died years and years later, and he was released, and but there are so many people that actually remember learning about him dying in prison and stuff. So, and that's where the term Mandela effect comes from.
Yep, and Berenstain Bears and the Berenstein Bears and all of that stuff too. I mean, that's really freaky. It just challenges your memory, challenges your thoughts.
Yeah, I saw something today. Did Mickey Mouse have a tail?
Oh,
so it's funny because I remember watching this video on it, and the person was going, how Disney was like, no, Mickey Mouse does not have a tail, yet all the pictures that they had were Mickey Mouse with a tail, which I found kind of amusing. Apparently,
suspenders or no suspenders, I mean, things like that. Like the one I actually saw it today when I was kind of doing some research for today's topic, and they were talking about them. I'd never heard about it before because I don't remember Mickey Mouse ever having suspenders, but there are a lot of people who remember in Steamboat Willie that he originally had suspenders.
yeah.
Because at one point he like snaps them or something.
Yes.
But nobody can find that segment anywhere. And they say now he never had suspenders or a tail. So I seem to remember him having a tail, but apparently he doesn't have a tail.
Well, there's 2 that really get to me, and one is the show Sex and the City. I know.
Oh yeah.
I know. It was Sex and the City. But now there's Sex and the City, and I'm like, that makes no sense to me. And I remember that era very well. And, there was also another show around that time called 30 something. And then there was, Sex and the City. I'm going to keep calling it Sex and the City. I actually never watched the show, but I remember the commercials. I remember, all of it. It just wasn't my thing. But the other one is, this right here is Pikachu. And my kids were massive Pokemon fans. I mean, we had like every freaking card available, like that. We had the video game. We were Pokemon, everything. And I know that Pikachu had black on his tail. And now they're saying that he doesn't.
He never did. That's the thing. He never had it.
Yeah, and I know that I saw it. I know because I remember even even the kids drawing, you know, Pikachu, right? And there would be black on the tail. So why would you just invent that? Like, you don't do that. That comes from somewhere. So you kind of wonder.
It's not just something that's just, you know, one or two people. Again, this is like large swaths of the population, right? This is not just like a small group of people. These are hundreds of thousands or even millions of people that remember something the same way. That is not correct, you know? So where does it come from? Why does it happen?
I don't know. It's a conspiracy theory.
Wear your hat is what I think we need to do.
Like this. No, I mean, so there were a lot of people that there was a big thing, you know, how 2012 was the end of the Mayan calendar, and that was supposed to mark like the end of the world.
Yes.
And apparently there are a large portion of the population that remember the world ending. Like they remember Armageddon scenario where the earth freaking exploded or died or something. I'm not one of those people. I don't remember that happening.
I never even heard of that before.
One of the conspiracy theories is that it actually threw us into an alternate reality, a parallel reality, where everything is mostly the same except for some small details, like Pikachu's tail is different and Nelson Mandela didn't die in prison, and you know, these things. So all of us that, you know, were thrown into this different reality have those same memories that don't jive with this reality. So you know, I thought that was interesting. Who knows?
It is interesting. I remember the day that the earth was supposed to end. We were all in the car. We were driving home from Toronto. We had gone for, I don't know what the heck it was. I guess the bookstore, walking around, whatever. And we were on the highway driving home. And I remember we were all laughing about it and saying, okay, well, I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Right? We're all together, and I guess we're going to find out. And it was the weirdest thing that the radio, whatever song was playing on the radio, skipped at that moment.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I thought that was really weird. And we all kind of had one of those kind of laughs as if to say, oh, like,
there's a glitch in the matrix.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Right? Everything's fine.
And then they came on the radio and said, well, that was an interesting glitch. Well, let's try that again. And I thought, okay, well, that's really weird.
Maybe that's where the crack happened.
There you go. There you go. That was really weird. And we all kind of went, oh, okay.
I remember for the year 2000, I was actually working that night. I was working at a bar and we were doing the New Year's thing. And I remember I was like, I don't know if I want to go to work tonight because everything's going to like just go kablooey. And I was like, I was a little nervous about it. I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to go. Not maybe because anything would actually happen, but because of the lunatics that believe that something is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I was pretty calm about the whole thing. And I was actually like, well, you know, maybe I'll be busy and a lot of people want to get drunk and tip really big because I was bartending at the time. Yeah, that was sort of.
I ain't got nothing to spend my money on tomorrow, so here you go.
Yeah, right. That's what I was sort of hoping for. But yeah, nothing happened. Midnight, everybody kind of stopped and it was like. But then, you know, but then the reality kicked in of the fact that, you know, the East Coast would have had their New Year's like 2 years earlier. And, you know, the day before would have been like Australia and some of the other countries. So if nothing happened there, why would it happen in our time zone right now?
Because you have to go to the Mayan time zone. It would have happened in the Mayan time zone. They're the ones that had the calendar. So whatever time zone they are in, that's, I think, when
this was the 2000. So this was the electronic one where all of the gadgets, all of the computers and stuff wouldn't be able to. So, you know, when you think about it logically, like it really should have happened the day before New Year's, you know, because it would have hit like Australia and, you know, other areas first before it came to us. So here in Alberta, like we really, you know, had nothing to worry about. be perfectly honest. Like,
No.
so once you kind of put it into a more logical thought process, you were like, maybe I won't get tipped as much as I thought I was. maybe there's some drunk people that don't put it all together.
You don't know these things. You just don't know these things, right? But it's true. We were all freaked out. We kept thinking, okay, so are we not going to have power? And is our gas going to go off at exactly midnight?
Yeah. Like, you don't think about those things. Like you start to kind of panic about those things. Like you're like, oh shit, this could happen. This could happen. But, again, logically, it would have happened the day before, really. Like, however that, comes through, right?
And sometimes I wonder if things like, the whole year 2000 thing, I wonder how much of that is actually just being, and here's another conspiracy. I mean, about, I talked about, kind of joked about government experiments, and stuff. And so, but I mean, they've done social experiments in the past, and to see how group people are going to react, it's like, oh, year 2000, all this could happen. Let's see. And then they sit back and see what happens, and they kind of watch, how much of this, they call it fear mongering or whatever, but I mean, are actually being, pushed on the populace just to see what our general reaction is going to be for one reason or another. They can kind of predict, okay, under certain circumstances, this is how everybody's going to react. This is how we need to handle it. This is what we need to do about it, or, this is how we get people to watch the Kardashians. And,
we really just kind of went through something like that with, a particular virus that, that they, whatever. And
a lot of people think that was a massive social experiment as well.
Absolutely. So, right. You look at it and I mean, how do arrows on the supermarket floor protect you from getting sick?
Oh, there's because of science.
Yeah. And so these sort of things, and you start to kind of go, okay, maybe, maybe that social experiment thing, and I'm not, and for anybody watching, I'm not sitting there saying that there was no virus or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I am only just saying that when you look at particular ways of people behaving, you wonder how many experiments they have put out there, how many things that they have created. One of the other ones, this is sort of interesting. Oh, go ahead, Trevor.
Well, I was going to say, like, look at Area 51,
Right. Yeah.
So Area 51 is a big one. And, and I believe, they were using that area for, experimental aircraft and things like that. And who knows, maybe they had an alien ship there. I don't know. But I guarantee you, as popular as that place is now, if it was there, it's not there anymore. But they are not going to tell you anything other than they're going to keep it that secret because they want that secret. They want it to be mysterious. They want people looking there. They say, hey, look over here. So they're not looking
somewhere else,
the other location, right? So, they're really good at controlling information and convincing people, the populace, of what it is that they want them to think is right, what they want them, look over here. We want you to look this way, and people hang right in on it, So, when we're doing investigation, it's funny because we talk about this a lot of times, especially, when we get a lot of activity in one location of a room, for example, something that sucks everybody in. I'm one of those people that I'll see what's going on for a minute and notice everybody's watching. Then I turn around and I watch behind us too. Because I find a lot of investigations that we start getting activity in one location, it's almost trying to draw our attention away from where it actually is. And so, I think that that our governments and news agencies are really good at directing our attention to where they want it to be. So, who knows?
Absolutely. I fully agree with that. I fully agree. There's been so many times where, there has been some sort of event, massive event where people are looking and you discover this and you're like, oh shit. How did this happen? Why, like, where did this come from? What happened? Like what created this? This is interesting. Another theory though, I just want to play a little bit. I want to play this clip that you sent, Trevor, because I found this really interesting, but it kind of goes into something else. So hang on a second. I keep forgetting that when I press play that you guys aren't seeing it unless I share it. So hang on a second. Just a sec. Here we go. Okay. We're going to go like that. All right. Can you guys see this? Yeah.
Okay, and now to our #1 trending story on CBSMiami.com.
It involves talk of alien sightings at Bayside Marketplace. On New Year's Day, there was a massive police response in downtown Miami. More than 50 young people armed with sticks began fighting. Police say juveniles were also setting off fireworks, causing chaos.
So now people are posting online saying that police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall shadowy aliens. Conspiracy theories are saying a big creature could be seen standing in front of the entrance to the shopping area, Bayside. Today, the phrases Miami Mall and aliens of Miami have been among the top 10 searches on Twitter's trending tab. Twitter, of course, now called X. And Google News even has several reports questioning the event.
So we reached out to the Miami Police Department. They issued a statement saying, in part, quote, there were no aliens, UFOs, or ETs. No airports were closed, no power outages. Facepalm emoji was included in the statement. And to read up on the story that has gone viral, just head to
Of course they would deny the whole thing.
Of course. Well, they're not going to say yes, everybody, like there's 10 feet tall aliens walking
What
around.
would everybody do? Wouldn't that just be fun? I would love for somebody, one of the PIOs, one of these public information shops, say, oh, yep, there were 10-foot aliens there. Yep.
Yeah.
We had to shut the place down, and yeah.
We had to take care of those aliens, and they're all corralled now, so we're good. Just go about your daily.
Go about your business. Nothing to see here.
God.
Honestly, when I was watching it, it looked like 3 individuals that were walking back and forth.
It did, and you could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it did not look like one thing there, but 10-foot tall aliens. I don't know. So, but hey, leading story. People want to believe. They're looking for that big conspiracy to be true.
You got to wonder. There's been a few alien stories that have been coming to light lately, and you kind of wonder: is this a prelude to something? Right? Is it like, are they trying to get you to a place where you're more? So there was a theory. There was a conspiracy theory that basically what they were going to start doing is, especially with the advancement of AI and holographics and stuff like that, that there was apparently supposed to be an alien invasion, alien holographic invasion, right? And that, so the theory was this. It's a little far-fetched, but you'll see what was that the virus scare that basically that got everybody to comply with particular ways of handling life was a prelude to the alien that came up. So basically what they were going to do is, from what I heard or from what somebody had theorized, is that alien spaceships were going to be projected holographically throughout the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they have a general idea of how people would behave, and that they could easily say, okay, you know what, in order to appease the aliens, everybody, do the hokey pokey and turn yourself about and do whatever it is that you need to do, because you don't want the aliens to come and whoop, zap you down, right? Turn you into a dust particle or whatever. And so I found that really interesting. But here's the thing, is that there have been a lot more alien sightings and a lot more like things like this, like these 8-foot. I mean, yes, the police department, of course, is going to deny it. And I'm not saying that it happened or didn't happen. But there's going to be those people that are 100% dead on going to believe that it happened. 100%. Like there's going to be no convincing that it didn't happen. And those are the people that when, if there was like holographic UFOs basically projected into the sky, those are the ones that are going to basically be compliant.
Well, I mean, the government has already said that, yes, they do exist. And,
right.
A lot of things are becoming exposed that we were not privy to that information, for a very long time. But now, of course, things are becoming exposed. So people are more aware of their surroundings. But that doesn't mean, that.
But are they being exposed, or are they being more, here's the thing, are they really being exposed? It's kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to find an example. But if you start off small and it's like, yeah, okay, we admit that they're there, but we're not giving you any information. Now people can go, oh yeah, they're there. See, we knew that they existed all the time. And then you start bringing more and more events, into reality. Mm-hmm. Then people are like, oh, see, this is this. And then it's easier to believe when there's a great big holographic UFO that shows up at your front door. Right? It's kind of like we started talking about, it's like the TV show, like True Blood. Nobody believed in vampires until vampires started becoming public.
Right.
Right. And then vampires were walking amongst the humans. You know what I mean? So at first everybody was like, no, there can't be any vampires. But then vampires are suddenly like making themselves aware. It kind of reminds me of that. Like, okay, there's no UFOs. There's no UFOs. Okay, well, we'll admit that there is UFOs. We'll start slowly introducing them into society, that sort of thing. And then that great big mothership shows up. Everybody's going to be more believing.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to say. Is it something that's preparing us to be more accepting of what's to come? Right. Is there? There's been that talk.
More compliant. More compliant.
I can't remember what the exact terminology, but these eras of humanity that we started in one area, we moved to this next, and then supposedly we're ending one of these eras, our technological era, where the next one is going to be the introduction of an extraterrestrial presence that is going to take us into our next golden age or whatever. It could be something as profound as that, or something as simple as like, well, yeah, we do have, extraterrestrial beings that are our neighbors that are going to be coming down to visit. And we don't want everybody buddy pulling out a gun and trying to kill them. We want them to be accepted. So let's start introducing this now, so we can start preparing them. It's like you said, it's those small steps, and this has been used over time anyway by governments and by media to get people to start swinging their thoughts a certain direction. Whereas, like, for example, I mean, like in the 1940s, where it was socially unacceptable for men and women to live together unmarried, and the wife would be working, the man does all the work. Well, now we're at that point where it's like looked down upon. If the woman's staying home raising kids and the man has to work, she should be out working. Where did that? I mean, that's a big social change. That's a big change.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the Second World War really brought that through too, right? Because women had to go to work. They were basically it was forced, and it was sort of like with a lot of things, like we got to be forced into it, or it's got to be, thrown into our faces, where we have to be accepting of it. And,
but even after that, it was still so that when men came home from war, that the men would go back to work and the woman would come back in and she'd be making dinner and doing all that stuff that is completely, all I'm saying is like that social acceptability, what is correct, what is socially correct is night and day from where it was. And it wasn't something that happened like that. No, it took years and years and years of subtle change,
gradual
to get to this point. And so when it comes to belief in extraterrestrials, or even look at where we are with ghosts and hauntings and stuff. I mean, It wasn't that long ago when it was completely taboo to talk about, and now we have podcasts and shows, and we host ghosts.
There's podcasts about the paranormal. What?
You know,
What?
I mean, but it wasn't something that just happened overnight either. I mean, it was something that took some time, and it was a gradual change in the thought processes of people. So, you know,
True.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because that's exactly it. I mean, even when me and my girls, you know, before my son was born, we actually have, there's a couple of things in books about us. You know what I mean? Like we, you know, and a couple of stories in books about, you know, how I couldn't find anybody to help us out with the paranormal. It was just not acceptable at that time. Like, you know, you were crazy. You were just, that was the bottom line of it. You were just nuts. And, you know, there's nothing paranormal happening. It's got to be this, or it's got to be that, or there's this explanation or that explanation. Meanwhile, nobody's living in your home, trying to, you know, dealing with the shit that you're dealing with. They're just passing off judgment. But I do find, though, like, I'm wondering if, you know, when we think about it, especially with Alien, you know, and the fact that they are bringing more and more and more, and there's a lot of different, you know, things that are going on right now, like on the spiritual plane. And there is I guess as a medium or psychic, you see that thinning of the paranormal world. Like, you're hearing way more about the paranormal now. You're hearing way more about so many things. And I don't know if it's so much the fact that it's been brought to the surface, and this is why it's becoming, you're hearing about it more, or if there's actually that thinning. But, you know, it's like with anything, like the law of attraction, the more you talk about it, the more it's going to be brought into the forefront. And I do feel that, you know, that does have some validity to it as well. But, you know, if you think about it, if we go to down that path of, okay, the aliens are coming, they're going to start walking among us, there's going to probably at some point be some sort of revealing of, well, we knew that this person was an alien. We knew, we knew that this person was, we knew that whatever it was, the royal family or whoever it is that they have conspiracy theorists.
Lizard people,
lizard people, right?
Yeah,
lizard people. Yes.
Yeah, love that.
We know Trump's a lizard person. We know it. You know. I'm just kidding.
I know a few people that could be lizard people, quite honestly, but but yeah, but but yeah, it's I feel like there's going to be, and it's going to be acceptable, and that's the thing. It's going to start being acceptable. Like, well, of course it is, and we'll be the old fogies that are like, well, back in my day, these things didn't exist, right? But I just feel like there's going to be more and more and more coming through. And it's interesting, even the Mandela effect, you kind of wonder, okay, are you switching these things so that there's going to be more that are coming that we don't remember these things of? Like, what if we don't remember a time where there wasn't aliens?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These things are switching, right? Or maybe there wasn't a time where this happened or this happened or this happened. And, there's going to be those people that are like, no, I remember a time where there, nope, UFOs were always there. There were always UFOs, this kind of thing. Yeah. And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder what's coming down the pipeline.
Well, I mean, take a look at how many people are hooked on Skinwalker Ranch, right? The secret of Skinwalker.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, I remember reading about Skinwalker Ranch like 20 years ago, kind of thing. And now there's that series, which I actually have been watching because I'm interested in how they're going to put all that together and how they did put all that together. And to have, all kinds of people involved in this, and they're talking about stuff. I mean, these are astrophysicists that are talking about ghosts and aliens, and it's really astrophysicists. But honestly, they're talking about all of this stuff that would have been absolutely taboo. I mean, 25, 30 years ago, people would go.
Not even like if you even like 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I think that even back then it was, no, I wouldn't say completely taboo, but people were still giving you the side eye about that.
Well, people have been giving, people like us the side eye for a very long time. But I mean, if you think about it, 20, 30 years ago, it would have been absolutely worse because we didn't talk about that stuff back then.
Well, what's funny is that it comes in waves, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look back at like World War II,
Yeah.
so Nazi Germany had an entire group of scientists and philosophers and people that were looking for paranormal stuff. They were looking for somebody that could read minds and use telekinesis and things like that. And the United States did it as well. There's even a whole movie about it that I don't know if it's called The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yes.
It's a lot about that, creating these super spies that could do remote viewings, into enemy encampments and figure out what they were going to do next, So, there's always been that presence, even in the governments, our own White House, Mary Todd Lincoln used to hold seances in the White House, trying to contact her deceased son. And there are different reports of apparitions and things like that have been reported throughout the years by White House staff. So, and even in the scientific community it seems like it kind of comes and goes, where there will be all of a sudden an excitement of people that want to try to scientifically prove, the paranormal. And what's cool about it is I think, when we get, things like Skinwalker Ranch, which I'm really on the fence about the show. I mean, it's entertaining and stuff, but I mean, anything I see on TV, I'm just going, about this. But it generates that excitement, right?
It does.
And we hope that the right people start to see this and that want to take it seriously and take it that step further and really dig into what's going on, And, we talk about the technological gadgets and stuff that we use in ghost hunting and how those have changed over the years. Some I would argue that not for the better, but some of them, we are getting, we're actually catching more evidence than we've caught in the past, which is amazing to me. Maybe it has to do with the veil thinning, like Kathy was talking about. Maybe it has to do with the quality of the technology that we're able to use these days. I don't know, maybe it's both. But I think I'm hoping that a lot of these conspiracy theories, pretty soon, we're going to be able to start putting to rest as either fact or fiction.
True. But you're right that things come in waves. I mean, when I first started community college, CEGEP, in 1980, and I do remember taking a class called the Psi Factor, PSI. And one of the books that we had to read was Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain. So they talked about all kinds of stuff that had been happening behind the Iron Curtain way back when, all these experiments, mind control, remote viewing, all kinds of things like that. So, it's not something new, and you're absolutely right. Totally not something new.
Yeah, exactly.
But
as Sparky is saying here, more people out there looking and more people willing to talk about it. Absolutely. Like, it's not so taboo anymore. And, maybe the more that we're talking about things, the more things are going to be discovered. So that's what we can just hope for, I suppose, and keep moving forward. And as long as I think as long as we're looking at it with common sense as well. Some of these things. Yes.
Common sense.
So we don't want to, and that's what you got to avoid is the mass hysteria portion of it, where it's, oh, it's this, and everybody loses their freaking mind. Oh yeah, it's this, and that's a whole nother show too.
Maybe soon we'll talk about that. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be here again next weekend. Have an amazing night and have an amazing week. Take care. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.